Hi, everybody. Welcome to the CourtReserve webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about point of sale and all of the fun things that you can do in CourtReserve with the point of sale. I am Kim from the product team. I am joined by Josh, also with our product team. And then we have a special guest joining us today as well, Connor, from the team at Fromuth. And so we're going to give you guys really an in-depth into the CourtReserve point of sale. And then also Connor is going to be sharing with us some awesome things about what Fromuth can do as the Pro Shop Pros. So I'm going to go ahead and let Connor take it away here in a second. But if you have questions as we go along, there is a Q&A section. Just feel free to drop any questions into the Q&A and we will address them as we go along. Hopefully we'll be able to answer a lot of those questions that you have live. But if there's anything that you are curious about, please don't hesitate to ask. Okay, so Connor, I will let you take it away.
Thank you very much, Kim. I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. I am excited to share a little bit about what I myself and Fromuth Racket Sports does. So, everyone see my screen? We're all good there, I believe.
Yep, you're good to
Um,
go.
Great. So Fromuth Racket Sports has been around since the late 70s. It started as a pro shop, but we slowly turned into a wholesale distributor when the tennis boom hit. So what that means is we have a big warehouse, has all the tennis brands, whether it's shoes, apparel, court equipment, in every racket sport for your club. So let me see. Yes. So we're the largest wholesale distributor in the US in racket sports. So we carry every sport you see up there. Tennis has always been our bread and butter forever. But obviously, with the opportunity of pickleball, we've dove headfirst into that. What we see with padel, and then some of the older racket sports platform, squash, racquetball, badminton, and then some newer ones, beach tennis and pop tennis. So our customers are country clubs, independent retail shops, high schools, and universities. So why Fromuth? So Fromuth, this is a little bit of background, but you can go directly to these brands or you can go to Fromuth. Fromuth has a exceptional reputation in the industry, and it's really why we exist for our customer service and shipping. Those are two major staples for us. We keep it old school. We have a full customer service staff on 24/7 on the phones, and they can steer you in the right direction, take care of anything you want. And then that quick shipping. So satisfying that customer as quickly as possible and being able to keep a tight inventory of your product. As I said before, no minimum order quantity. So that makes it less of a headache. Another thing that makes it less of a headache by going through us is we are that one-stop shop, right? You're not going to all these different brands and having to order 20 rackets of one model at a time and waiting a few weeks to get that. You can get everything at once from us, whether it's Wilson balls and head rackets or Babolat shoes, Nike shoes, all of that. And then a big piece of our business, which I will dive into as we go forward, is because we sell to all these clubs, is the logo embellishment. So I'll get into that more here. So I wanted to go over a lot of trends we are seeing in this industry, right? When you call us, you're not just going to get product from us and do that one-stop shop. You are going to get advice from us. You can ask us anything. So whether it's what we see selling, the latest trends, our customer service team is updated weekly and trained to really be the experts here so that you can run an efficient pro shop. So a major trend that we've seen an uptick in as a result of what Amazon brings to the table as a competitor and just the surplus of brands that are in the industry now is logo embellishment. So this is something we really preach to all of our customers, and they love and continue to use us for this. Is doing this custom product for your customers. They're not gonna buy a plain Nike tee. I mean, they may in some cases, but they can go to Amazon for that now. They can go online and find the cheapest one. They want to buy the Nike tee with your logo on it. So that has been a great success on our side and all the clubs we sell to. It's all about that. They want to leave with that memento after they have a great time at your club. So we do all that for clubs, as I said, a lot of tournaments, big tournaments like Philly Cricket Club, for example, will come to us and say, "Hey, we need 300 t-shirts for national grass courts. And this is our pricing, this is our size." They get all that information. We will set up a form and do all that for you. And then they have no back end. They are getting it straight through their door and out their door. And it's an easy moneymaker there for all parties involved. And then leagues is a big one we do. So a lot of men's and women's tennis leagues, custom apparel. But this is just a piece of the industry that continues to boom. We used to outsource a lot of our custom product, and we saw such an uptick that we built a logo embellishment like little factory in our warehouse as a result of that. So that is a big piece of the pro shop business now. I know I got a little into it on what we do as a wholesaler, but I think it's important to note that we also do own and operate a few pro shops ourselves. One being the USTA National Campus, and that custom merch continues to fly off the shelf. Right, you have a great experience at a phenomenal location, and that has really paid off for us. So that is something we continue to preach. The next trend I will go over is pickleball clubs. As we all know, pickleball clubs are hot. This is where a lot of the money in the industry is being blown through, and pickleball boom is huge, but it's a very difficult sport to navigate when it comes to the equipment right now. There is a surplus of brands, and there's a new hot brand every year. The trend. It's very hard for us to track, honestly, but we feel like we've gotten a good handle on it over the last year. But as you see up there, it is known as the Wild West in the industry because there is so much going on with 2,000 plus paddle brands, and it can be a very difficult thing to navigate in the pickleball world right now. So up here, I gave a little example of kind of what we list out and what we can do for you and help steer you in the right direction, that you can put that product in your shop and it will go out the door. So from top shoe brands to top paddle brands to top clothing brands, we really see it all, and we have that large sample size from the wholesale side, and then we get to see it firsthand with the pro shop side. So I think we've gotten a pretty good handle on it, and I don't wish it to be the Wild West anymore. But this is what we can help you with. So like the big brand we saw come into the space, really, they've been around for a little while, but a merge this year was a 6-0. Obviously, everyone knows Yola and Selkirk, and another one is Crush come onto the scene. There's just a lot going on, and it's hard to navigate. It's hard to commit to one brand right now in pickleball unless they've really cemented themselves like a Yola, like a Selkirk. And that is where we can come in and kind of steer you in the right direction. And you only have to order two or three if you want. You can order one if you want. It makes this just an easier process for you. So you'll see top women's shoe brands we've seen. So like a K-Swiss has really emerged. They've made a strong resurgence in the industry, and that's one we continue to see go up. But yeah, so that's a super hot, trendy thing right now is all these pickleball clubs and franchises are popping up and they don't know what to stock on their shelves. So they are coming to us and we are doing free consulting basically as a result of them being a customer. Another one you'll hear about, and it's such an exciting time to be in the racket sports industry. There's more going on than there has been in 25 years since the tennis boom. So, and that's a result of pickleball and now padel, which has been built out overseas. It's just a very exciting time to be in the space, and there's a lot of opportunity. So padel is a sport, or padel paddle. I know it gets a little confusing with platform, so the name, you can call it what you want, but this is a sport that is starting to see really tremendous growth across the US. There's a lot of money being poured into it, and there is a lot of money to get out of it as a result of the clientele, the product. Rackets are $200 to $300 that are on the higher tier end, and they don't last forever. Depending on how much you play, but these are some of what we're seeing, and I do a lot of this with all the new padel clubs coming up into the industry. I am walking them through what brands to use for balls, rackets, shoes, and it's really been a trial and error process for us over the past year and a half. But over the last 6 months, with all these clubs being built out and being very hands-on in this process and visiting clubs, I've learned a lot, and our team has learned a lot about the hot brands, the right brands to carry, and how to just really go about the process there, because it is so new in the US and not enough people know about it. But again, that money's coming in and it is super hot right now. So that's a little bit about Fromuth. I am happy to connect with any of you after this. I can walk you through kind of what we do, what we recommend for your pro shop, and all that. So I really appreciate the CourtReserve team. They've been a great partner in this process, and thank you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. And Connor, if you want to shoot me over your contact information, I will get that over to our customer success team. And then if any of our customers have questions about how to contact you, they can reach out. You guys can reach out to our customer success team and they can get you that information. Okay. So if you want to shoot that
Amazing.
over to me, I will pass that along. Okay.
Thank you.
Connor is going to actually be sticking around and joining us. So if you think of any questions that come up, we can address more questions. There were none that came up during the presentation, but if you have any specific Fromuth questions, or just even maybe questions about the industry that Connor might be able to answer, we can take those towards the end of the presentation. Josh is going to go ahead and get into our point of sale, but yeah, if you have any other questions for Connor, just please feel free to post those in the question and answer section, and we will get to those at some point during the presentation. Okay. So
Thank you.
go ahead. I'm going to turn everything back over to Josh, and Josh is going to take us away with point of sale in CourtReserve.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Connor, for being here, and thank you for your time. We really appreciate you joining us today. Today, we're going to be going over all things point of sale. I'll sort of touch on some more basic things at the beginning of this webinar. So if there is anybody here that is maybe not as familiar with the point of sale feature, we can sort of touch on the essentials. And then on the second half of this webinar, I will be going over things like inventory management and also the sales reporting that we have in the system. Before I get started in the system, I would like to point out that on October 15th, we did release our integration with GoTab. So if you are a facility that is selling food or beverage, you can now integrate GoTab into your organization, and any fees that are generated from GoTab will be pushed over to this member's account in CourtReserve. I won't go too in detail on the actual integration because we are going to have a webinar with the GoTab team going over this integration in a lot more detail. So if you are interested in that, definitely be on the lookout because we will be sharing more information on the date and the time of that webinar once we get that for you. So let me go ahead and get into the system here and we can get started. So I will jump over into CourtReserve. Okay, great. So I'm sure a lot of you here, if you're at this webinar, you already have point of sale enabled in your organization, but if not, and you are looking to use the point of sale feature, we can go over to settings on the sidebar. And if you scroll down to the bottom row here, we're going to have the additional features or the add-on row. And on the additional features or add-on page, that's going to be where you can enable point of sale. Once you have that enabled, if we go back to this sidebar navigation, you will now have a point of sale button on this sidebar here. And this is going to be where we can start setting up our items and things like that. So I'll kind of just go over the basics here. Before we actually create any items in the system, a few things that we can set up are item categories. So apparel, beverages, if you're selling paddles or rackets, this is going to be where we can create all of those categories. And when we are creating or editing a category, we can also include a revenue category. So rather than having to add that revenue category to each individual item, this can just save you some time on that setup and you can just apply it to the entire category. With that, we can also set up our tax rates and some manufacturers in the system before we actually get started with creating any items. So under the items drop down here, we're going to have the taxes page. This is going to be where you can see all of the tax rates you already have created in the main section of CourtReserve, but if you need to add any, you can also add them from the point of sale setup as well. And then below that, we are going to have the manufacturers page. And these are all things that you would be applying to an item when you are creating those individual items. So it may be best to just set these up beforehand. That way you have everything set up and ready to go prior to creating those items. But if we need to add that distinction between these specific manufacturers and you want to break it down by manufacturer in your reporting, it'll be really helpful to just get those created on this page. So after we have those set up, we can start actually creating items in the system. So we can go over to the item list, and this is going to be where we can create those items. When we create them, this is going to be where we apply that category, that manufacturer, unit cost and retail cost of an item, tax rates, and then we can also keep track of the stock of an item. So we can add how much we actually have in stock, and then we have a stock on hand alert that we can add as well. So if we want to start getting a little bit of a notice once an item is low in inventory, we can add the number here where we would like to sort of start seeing that alert. And a little bit further in this webinar, I'll show you the reorder stock page that shows that alert. We can add the UPC or the SKU code here as well, and then also add an item page or an item image if we would like to. So with items, once you have created it, there's also the option of creating variations to that item. So if you are selling something like a sweatshirt or a t-shirt or athletic shorts or anything like that, we can add variations for those different sizes of shirts. So we can click add variation next to an item right here. And with each variation, we can set up our own unit cost, retail price, and we can also keep track of the stock on hand for specific variations and also get alerts for specific variations as well. So that kind of just briefly goes over the basics of creating items and item variations in your point of sale. Something that I will add is we do also have the ability to import your inventory. So if you are newer to the point of sale feature, and maybe you were using a different system previously, and you just want to quickly get all of those items added, under the items dropdown, we do have an import inventory button here. And when we get to that page, we are going to have this little button here to download our template. You can also reach out to our customer success team if you need any assistance with just making sure your import sheet is formatted correctly. And they'll be happy to look over your Excel sheet and your template to make sure everything is set up correctly before actually doing this import. So once we have the items actually created, then we can actually launch the point of sale system. So if you click launch point of sale here, this is going to be where we can see all of our items, and we can add it to the cart if we need to. If we have variations for an item, this is going to be where we see it. So when we click on that item, there will be a drop down for each of those different variations that we have. From here, we also have the option to discount an item's price. We do also have the ability to add some shortcuts if there are some common discount percentages that you are adding. So if we go back to the setup page, under the settings button on the sidebar, we are going to have a discount table here. So if you have, maybe an employee discount that you just want to quickly apply in some cases, we can just add a shortcut button for this discount so that way you don't manually need to type in the percentage that you are giving to those items. So here you can see I have a few different examples of that. From this page, we can also choose which payment types are going to be allowed in the point of sale system. So if there is anything like cash or check or gift card or anything manual that you would like to keep out of the point of sale system when you get to that payment process, this is going to be where we can remove those different payment types. But if we go back to the actual point of sale where it is launched, if we click the discount button on an item, this is going to be where we have that drop down, and you can label them whatever you'd like. So if you'd like to label it, employee discount rather than 15%, you can always do that. And then once we get to the checkout page, something that I would like to point out here, and this is a small adjustment that we've made based on the account credits feature that we released on October 15th. So if you are manually applying account credit to unpaid fees rather than automatically applying it, and we select a member here that has account credit on their account, here we can see I have this amount in account credit. We're now going to have this toggle here where we can decide if we would like to apply this credit to this payment, and then we can always disable it if we would like to charge the member's card or just add the fee to the member's account. So I did want to point that out since this is part of a new release that we had in October.
Hey, Josh, there's a question I wanted to get answered for us real quick. If you flip back over into the variations on the item list, is there a way of copying a variation currently in CourtReserve?
I do not believe so. Let me check. No, it does not look like there is, but
That's
that is
really
something we can keep note of. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. We'll take
we'll
note
keep
of that and add that to our product roadmap.
Yes, thank you. All right, great. So that's sort of the essentials of setting up items and then using and launching the point of sale. Just wanted to touch on that for anybody that maybe isn't as familiar with the point of sale feature. All right. I see that we do have a question for a cashless with credit card on file. What allowed payment type should we check? So let me go back over to the settings page. So on the top here, we're going to have credit card swipe/manual if you are integrated with a payment provider. This is actually going to be checked and disabled, so we can't disable if you can use credit card or not in the point of sale. If you are looking to do cashless or prevent any sort of manual payments from happening, we can uncheck manual credit card, cash, check, and gift card. So that way, the only two options that we have here are the credit card swipe or the manual credit card. That would include payment profiles, or we can charge the fee to the account without actually processing a payment there. So that would be what I recommend adding if you're trying to do cashless. All right. Do we have any other questions before I move forward?
There have been a couple questions just around GoTab, but I'm going to take care of those questions just with my typed answers. So go ahead and you can keep going.
Okay, great. So yeah, like I was saying, that kind of just goes over the essentials of creating items, item variations, categorizing them, and then using the actual or launching the actual point of sale. Some things that I really want to focus on in this webinar today are going to be a few ways that we can manage inventory and then a few ways we can report on our sales. So if we go back to the items drop down, we are going to have this page here that is called stock adjustment. From this page, we are going to be able to see every item that we have and every variation of each item that we have as well. And we can see the amount of stock that we have on hand. And we also have this button here to quickly adjust the stock for these items. So if you had a small order that just came in, or you need to make changes to multiple items in terms of the stock that you have on hand, this is a quick way that you can do that for multiple items. When we click on the adjust stock button, we're going to be able to choose an action type here. So we're going to have some actions that will add to your stock on hand, like stock received. Sorry. We also have the ability to do an inventory recount. And then we also have some action types that would subtract from the stock on hand. So if anything's damaged, if anything's lost, we'll be able to track all of that. And then from there, we can make that change. If you are looking for a report that will quickly show you all of these stock adjustments, whether that be, filtering by the date that they were adjusted or the system user that made those changes, we do have a stock adjustments report. On this page, we do have a shortcut to it. We do also have it under our reports as well. So when we get on this page, this is almost going to be like an audit log that is showing us all of these stock adjustments that were done in your organization. We're going to be able to see the item name and the variation name. We can see how it impacted the quantity. We can see the action type, and we can see the system user that made that change as well. We're also going to be able to filter by system user and item categories, item names, and things like that as well. One second, sorry. So if we're looking to just find a quick place where we can see all of those adjustments for any item in our organization, we can easily do that from this report. If I go back to the stock adjustment page, you'll also notice that when we click adjust stock, we can see the stock history for individual items as well. So those are going to be the two places where we can quickly see that stock adjustment. The report would be where we can see any stock adjustment for any item in our point of sale inventory. So now if I go back down to reports, we're going to have some different reports here. If you remember previously when we were setting up an item, we could set up a stock on hand alert so that when the inventory was low for an item, we could get an alert for it. When we see the restock or the reorder stock button, we're going to have this little red dot here if there are any items that have reached that alert amount. When we click on this page, we're going to be able to see the current quantity and then also the amount that we have set that alert to. So this is a good place to just keep track of any items that you may have low inventory on. All right, and then if we go back up to the top of this report here, reports drop down. The first two that we have are item sales and category sales. This is going to be a place where we can see the net sales, or the amount without tax that this item was sold for. We'll be able to see the amount that was sold, or the tax amount in that purchase. We'll be able to see the gross sales, so that amount including the tax. And then we'll also be able to see the profit that we made. So it's basically going to take the net sale amount and then subtract the unit price of that item, so we can see how much we made as an organization on these sales. Same goes for the category sales page. The only difference here is this is going to be broken down by category rather than each individual item that we have in the system. But we're going to have the same columns here. So we're going to be able to see the net sales, the amount in tax from that purchase, and then also the gross sales and the profit. The next report here we have is the inventory valuation. On this page, we're going to be able to see how much we have on stock for a specific category. We have this plus icon that will show us each individual item that's in that category. So when we're looking at the average cost, it's the average cost of all items under this category. But we can break it down to the items and also the variations for that specific item. From here, we would be able to take a look at the amount we have on hand, multiply by the cost of that item, and see how much an asset value we have of that specific item there. And we can also see, based on the asset value, what percentage it is of our total asset in our inventory. We will also get the retail value, so how much it costs for retail price. And we can see that percentage in total retail for our inventory as well. All right. Sorry, losing my voice a little bit. So the next report that we have here is the sales tax report. This is actually going to take us over to the sales summary that we have in the main section of CourtReserve. So if we are trying to get a breakdown in terms of net and gross sales and the amount in tax that was paid in our point of sale purchases, we can do that from the sales summary. You can also pull this up when you're in the main section of CourtReserve. But when we run this report, we're going to be able to see the amount in sales that were exempt. We will be able to also see the amount in sales that were taxable, and then we'll get a breakdown for each different tax rate that you have in the system and how much you collected in that tax rate. From there, you'll also be able to see the gross sales and the net sales and point of sale as well from this report. We also have the payment summary. So from here, we're going to be able to see just the total amount in payments that we have made through the point of sale. And this will break down the payments by each payment type that we have in the system here. And then we have the sales page. This is going to show us each sale that we have made in the system. We'll be able to see the subtotal, the amount we collected in tax, and then the total amount, as well as the payment type for that sale, and then also who had tendered that sale as well. Sorry, I am losing my voice. Do we have any questions or anything that anybody wanted to go over? I know I kind of briefly went through some of those reports because I was losing my voice a little bit.
Yeah, there was a question if we want to back up to just how to charge users in the point of sale. So let's go back to your point of sale, launch the point of sale, and then open an order. And there's some questions surrounding how does a user or a member need to be set up in the system and have an account set up in CourtReserve in order to purchase items through the point of sale system? So does every single person I sell to have an account in my CourtReserve database?
they will not have to have an account created. So let me add an item to my cart really quick. If we go to the checkout, this member dropdown is going to be optional. So if you do have somebody, you can quickly find their account, link this fee to their account, but you don't necessarily need to. So if you have someone at the point of sale that doesn't have an account in your organization and you want to process that payment, we can still use, our payment methods without selecting a member here.
And Josh, is the ability to, I can't remember, so I'm gonna ask if you know the answer to this, is the ability to control whether or not you can do that? Is that a setting within the point of sale as well that they need to say, allow members to charge if they don't have an account?
I do not believe we have a setting for that right now, but we can definitely keep note of that.
I
Right
just wanted
now,
to make sure if it was something that we added later on after the point of sale was introduced, that, normally it's a setting, but
mhm.
okay.
Yeah, right now we do not have a setting for that. The only type of restriction that we can sort of add to the point of sale is under settings. We can restrict suspended or inactive members from having point of sale items charged to their account.
Cool. Um, and there was a suggestion that also came in for someone that does not have an account. It's a good idea to create a profile for miscellaneous income so the items might be easier to find. Because yes, when you do charge somebody or you do process a payment in point of sale and it's not tied to a member, those items, when you're looking at your transaction list later, they're, if you're filtering by a member, they're not as easy to find if they don't have a person. That's a good idea.
That is, yeah. All right. And then is there a way for CourtReserve to automatically apply a member discount rather than having to manually apply a discount? Right now, we do not have a way to link the discount amount to specific memberships or anything like that. The best option that we have right now is just sort of creating this discount percentage shortcut so that way you can quickly apply it when you are selling those items.
All right. Sorry, I'm answering a question here live.
Good.
Let's see. Is there a way for CourtReserve to automatically, oh, you just answered that one. Okay. And can you restrict a member from charging to their account? And then somebody did also want to point out there is a setting in each individual's member account that will restrict you from being able to charge to their account. So if you want to show where that setting is, people might be interested in that as well. Thank you for
Yeah.
that suggestion.
All right. Yeah. So if we are under a member's account, under the details tab, if we scroll down to the bottom here, there's going to be a charge to account not allowed on point of sale. So if we do need to restrict, just an individual from being charged there, this is going to be where that setting is. All right, great.
Awesome. That was all of the open questions that we have right now.
Okay, great. Well, that was all that I had to cover. Sorry, I know I kind of lost my voice halfway through and started running through those reports. So if anybody has any additional questions, always feel free to reach out to our customer success team. And then if anybody has any questions for Connor from Fromuth and you don't have time to send it in the Q&A right now, you can always reach out to our customer success team. They can send that over to us and then we can make sure Connor gets that question.
Okay, perfect. Well, awesome. Well, nothing else came in on the question and answer section. Connor, thank you again so much for joining us today. And then Josh, where do we put these recordings of the webinars when we're done with them?
Yes. So once we get the recording from Zoom, we will upload this to YouTube on our YouTube channel. So definitely be on the lookout on that YouTube account, if you're looking for the recording.
And there was one more question that just came in. Connor, can you tell everybody, it's questions for you. Can you tell everybody where Fromuth is located?
Yes. So we are located outside of Philadelphia in Reading, Pennsylvania. So my hometown.
Very cool. I just want to tell everybody that these guys at Fromuth are awesome to work with. I have worked with them in the past, just in other industries and experiences. So if you are in need of some Pro Shop pros, definitely give these guys a shout because they really know what they're talking about. They've been in the industry a long time.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Well, everybody, thank you again so much for joining us today. Again, as Josh said, if you have any additional questions that we did not cover today, please feel free to reach out to our customer success team. But we appreciate you all joining us today. Have a great one.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.